Summer Flynn.
That's me.
From the Dolls of Horror podcast.
That is also me. How's everyone doing? Who loves Jason? Who loves Hatchet? Ladies and gentlemen, Kane Hodder.
Thank you, guys. Yep, that is correct. Good call.
How you doing?
Fine.
Yeah, how's the convention going for you? Is it wonderful?
Good. You know, it's nice and busy today, which
Yes.
we were hoping for.
Yes.
Not just for monetary reasons, but just it's more fun when it's busy.
Exactly. And you won't be sitting there bored, right? Though I doubt you ever do get bored. You always have a line.
I don't know. I just I like to have fun with people too. So, you know, if you just sit there and sign shit and
Right.
don't even engage with people, it's what's the point?
Right. Well, I remember working with you in Vegas at Nightmare Toys, and we ran about 2 hours past when our cutoff was because there were so many people there for Mr. Hodder. So, and you were gracious to every single one. It wasn't, were you out get out of here? Nope. Everyone got the same amount of it.
Well, I mean, that's how it should be.
Yeah.
There are some people that talk even more to each person,
Yeah.
and sometimes that slows the line quite a bit, but at least you're engaging with them. But there are people that talk and talk and talk, and I don't want to name any names, Robert England, because that would be rude. But Robert's a great guy. I mean, he makes sure everybody
Yes.
feels included. So,
Yes. And well, you do too, though. So.
well, I try.
Yeah. So you obviously have an extensive stunt career, and I hear that stunt work is extremely hard to break into. Is that true? And how did you break into it?
Well, the stunt business is much harder to break into than acting, actually, because there's no auditioning process.
Yeah. That makes sense.
With acting, if you audition and impress the right person, you might get the part. But with stunts, you do not get hired unless you're known. And how do you get known if you can't get hired? So, very, very tough business to get into. But once you do, and you establish yourself, then you can work for as long as you stay alive, I guess. But you know, it's just it's a very challenging business because every day is something different. You know, you don't know what you're going to confront from day to day doing stunts, and it's just a fun, exciting, not boring at all career. So I've always loved it, even though I almost died from an early stunt. Just I've loved my career.
Well, we definitely love your career as well, because without it, we would not have you as Jason, of course, 4 times, right?
Yes. Which ones?
7, 8, 9, and X. And X. Come on now.
7, 8, 9X, yes.
Yes.
But yeah, and very fortunate because of having played that character to play Victor Crowley in the Hatchet movies, so for those as well.
Yes.
That's why I don't think anybody can dispute that I've murdered more people on film than any actor in history.
Oh, absolutely.
For real, I don't mean that as a joke. I think it's true because multiple murders in each film, and at least 10 films where I was the killer.
Right. How did your audition for Friday the 13th Part 7 go? Did you audition or you just...
Well, it's interesting because I did not audition. I was chosen by John Buechler based on a previous film called Prison. And John was directing Part 7 and said to Paramount, this is the guy that should play Jason. And they weren't convinced because they were pretty happy with CJ's performance, which I think he did a great job.
He did.
But it was John's opinion that I would be the one. So he had to convince them that I was the right choice, and the way he had to do that. So there wasn't an audition, but there was basically a screen test where he put me in the makeup. He shot a bunch of scenes of me, you know, doing some relatively easy kill scenes and stuff, and then put it on film, edited it, and presented it to Paramount, all on his own dime, which I didn't know for the longest time.
Well, you believed that strongly, that you had to be the guy.
And once they finally watched it on the big screen and said, well, you know what, that is pretty good. So then I was given the job, and I'll never forget I had a call on my answering machine back in the day, before cell phones and all that. I hit, and the answering, because I saw that somebody had called, and it was John Beekler saying, "Hi, it's John Beekler. I have a message for Mr. Voorhees." And then I thought, oh, I guess I got it. That was the official first word.
And he also did effects for Hatchet, correct? The first one, at least?
Yes.
Yes.
He was involved in doing the effects for Hatchet and the makeup and
was in it.
Huh?
Jack Cracker, right? He was
Right.
in it, right?
Jack Cracker. What a great character. Did I disembowel him? Is that what I did? Yeah.
That was a lot of guts.
Yeah. It was fun to be able to actually do a scene with him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Considering he pretty much single-handedly gave me my horror career.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we lost him recently.
Yeah.
Not too recently, but
Yeah, it was within 2 years, right?
yeah. So, but yeah, he's the big reason I'm here.
Absolutely. And on our podcast, we do have a segment of prop we would like to own. And my co-host, we did a month of Hatchet this year. My co-host said for Hatchet 1, she wants to own the guts, the guts, Jack Cracker's guts. And she's just going to put it in a bucket with a label on it. These are Hatchet guts. And it'll go with her bucket of body parts. I'm not kidding, guys.
Wow. What a thing to really hope to own.
We want a museum. That's our aspiration.
I bet you can't imagine what prop that an actress that was in Victor Crowley wants to own. It happens to be an arm holding a cell phone.
Does she obtain that prop?
Yeah.
Oh.
I think Adam doesn't want to give that up.
Yeah.
But you know, we know it's Felissa Rose. And
Right.
don't ever call for help on your cell phone when Victor's around.
No.
It's not going to go well for you.
No.
But
Don't read the chant.
I just did a movie last week in New York,
Yeah.
by where West Point is, Cornwall on Hudson.
Uh-huh.
I've never heard of it, but that's where we were shooting. And I'm the sheriff of the town, and my deputy is Felissa Rose, so I'm not going to kill her. Robert Lizardo is in it. You know him from quite a few things. Got an amazing look and presence. Good actor. I did Out for Justice with him and Steven Seagal way back. And then Dave Sheridan
Yeah.
is in it, and he had just one scene with me in my sheriff's office, and the entire scene we had the whole thing because
With Dave.
he's a farmer and somebody's stealing his eggs, so he's there to report it, and the entire scene we did, he just ad-lib dialogue, I went with it.
Yeah.
It's going to be a pretty funny scene, I think, because he's very creative and
Yes.
fucking weird.
In the best way.
Yes.
one more question for you, non-Jason related, non-Hatchet related, before I turn it over to the audience. And I was talking to my friend Charlie Schlaughter last week. And tell me about Arthur Prescott.
Oh.
Yeah, tell me about that. How was filming that?
Well, it was.
Charlie had a great time.
Yeah, well, so did I. It's always fun. I think any actor would tell you, you love to do what you're good at, obviously, because that's your bread and butter. But it's fun when you get offered a character that's not typical to what you normally do. So if there's any comedy or, emotion, then it's great. And, I've never been trained as an actor at all. I just have always said that if I'm able to deliver dialogue and scenes properly, it's because I've watched other actors do it for so many years as a stunt person. So it was fun to do that, and there's a film called 13 Fanboy.
Yeah, coming out next month, right?
Coming out next month, where I play myself, and I don't want to give too much away, but there's someone who thinks he's Jason, basically, obsessed with the character, and
wants to be Jason, like for real.
Right.
Right.
So he thinks one way to do that is to get rid of me. And so I have a very emotional kind of dying scene in the arms of an actress named Jennifer Banco, who was young Tina in part 7 as a little girl. So very cool to do a scene with her again, and
right.
Real emotional thing. And since I'm playing myself, I did some spontaneous dialogue about my dad. So
Another comedic scene I loved was when you were doing your little dance in Among Friends. That's a fun time, guys. Has anybody seen Among Friends? Directed by Daniel Harris, right? Yes? Yes? Well, you guys gotta check it out. It's worth it. It really is. It's a lot of fun.
as my friend Jay down here would say, I'm a dancing motherfucker.
Oh yeah. And you had a great death scene in that as well. So.
And I danced in another movie. What was
We're
that?
playing this game again?
Mm-hmm.
Just like Vegas, all over again. Does the disco scene on Friday the 13th Part 8 count?
No.
Darn. I give up.
My character was called Meshuggah.
I know we've talked about this before,
It was
actually.
Like
Fun liking.
a Jewish Frankenstein, and I danced the horror.
Really?
Yeah. So take a look. Yeah.
What's the...
Not dancing as much as I did Among Friends. But
Those are some great moves.
no, they weren't. You liar.
No, we aspire to do those moves. Yeah.
Yeah. You
My
gotta
husband
admire
did some.
the guts of doing it, at least, right? Even if I'm
they
a
were
shitty
good.
dancer, at least I tried.
No, it worked. It worked for the character too. It really did. All right, audience questions. Who's got some? I know you got some. Oh, okay, young man.
What got you into stunt acting, and what was the stunt that you almost died from?
So I started in the stunt business in an old TV show called Emergency. And I was a victim, a workman trapped on top of a tower, and I had been burned, ironically. And I had to go from one tower to the other tower in a Stokes basket on a rope line. And because there was fire at the bottom of the tower I was on, whatever, but so that's how I started in the business. And then 6 months later, I did a fire stunt and got burned, and it wasn't on a movie, unfortunately. It was me trying to promote my career by showing people how good I was. So that didn't go very well. I guess I wasn't as good as I thought. But, you know, spent 5.5 months in the hospital. You come to terms with it. And, you know, it took a few years after that to even think about doing fire stunts again. But then once I did, I always felt very comfortable being on fire, which is a strange thing to say, but I always loved it. It's a very high-paying stunt, and not that many stunt people do it. So it's a small group within the stunt community that even do fire stunts. So it's kind of an elite thing, and that kind of that idea appealed to me to try to set myself aside from the other stunt people as somebody that does something rare. So, and then I just very slowly started working more and more, and eventually was able to get off unemployment and make a living at it. It took a while, but well worth it in the end. It just, you know, it didn't really matter how long it took to me. I knew it was going to happen, but it still took longer than I thought.
Is there like a hierarchy among stuntmen, like what they do, like fire, cars, fights? Or whatever?
Not official. There, you know,
Amongst
it
your
is kind
community,
of. Yeah.
Inside information, you know?
Right. And I'd say the fire people are close to the top because, you know, the one thing about stunts where nobody ever really knows, or even it doesn't occur to anyone, when you watch a movie and you see a stunt, you might think in your head as the viewer, I think I could have done that, which is possible. You may have been able to do it, but what you don't know, and this is the thing that nobody ever thinks about, you don't know how many times that stunt person had to do that stunt. You see one take on the film, but they may have had to do it 12 times. And that's when it starts getting really dangerous, when you keep repeating a stunt because the camera angle wasn't right, or something happened, or whatever, so you have to go and do it again. And then you start getting tired and not as sharp, and that's when the bad stuff can happen.
Mistakes, just random, stupid mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You start, you know, not thinking about every possibility
Right.
because you just want to get it done or whatever, but
Yeah.
yeah.
100%. Anyone else? Sir?
So at the end of the Jason Goes to Hell final trigger in Jason's Hell, they set up the right versus Jason. How did it affect you emotionally? Did it change you with the heart? And you know, we really would like to see.
Believe me. So talking about the end of Jason Goes to Hell, where Freddy's hand comes out of the ground, grabs the mask. Obviously, you know that was me with my hand in the glove. Because as soon as I read that in the script, I told everyone, that's going to be my hand. Because, you know, nobody else deserves it. True. But not being chosen to play the part in Freddy versus Jason, you know, there was never a guarantee each film that I would come back. That's why if you ever see an autograph that I've signed that says Jason #7, I signed that for just the first, not even a year, between part 7 and part 8. I figured I'm one of 7 guys that has played the character, so I didn't expect anything else. I was hoping, but I didn't expect it. And when I continued for 4 films in a row, and then when they said they were finally doing Freddy versus Jason, because that was supposed to be before Jason X, but they couldn't work out the details, so we decided to do Jason X. But when they finally get it on the books that Freddy versus Jason is happening, I get a call from the producer I go in her office, she gives me a script and says, we're finally doing this. So being replaced after that is much worse. If I had never been told I was doing it, I would be disappointed, certainly. But I wouldn't be as pissed off as I still am about, you told me I was doing it. You gave me the script and said I was doing it. And then the director was hired and he didn't want me, so. There was I don't know if it's something I should talk about, but his name was Ronnie Yu, the director, Y.U. And somebody printed some shirts. I think you know what I'm talking about. That I didn't mind seeing, but I thought, ooh, boy. And it, the shirt just simply said, fuck you.
Spelled like his last name, right? Yeah.
Hey, I didn't do it. It wasn't my idea. But, you know. And when I finally found out I wasn't doing the movie, and they told me they went with somebody else that has played the character. And I was like, wow, ooh, CJ? They brought CJ back?
Right.
And then found out it was Kurziger, which he didn't really play the character, ever. He stunt doubled me in a shot in Jason Takes Manhattan because they wouldn't let me do it, getting hit by the police car, which I've done many times, but I guess I could understand that if I got racked up on the leg or something, then compromising filming for the rest of the time. So I went along with it, but based on that, they said, somebody said, I don't think it was him, somebody said, yeah, he's played Jason before too. And so he lived in Vancouver, which is where they shot the film, and so we went with him.
That's where they shot part 8 too, correct or no?
Yeah, that's why Ken was in the movie, because he, once again, lived there. But yeah, we shot Jason Takes Manhattan for 2 months in Vancouver and 1 night in Times Square.
Yeah.
One single night. Jason Takes Manhattan for 1 day.
Jason takes the folks to Vancouver. That's something Adam Marcus and myself were joking on. He's like, Jason goes to Montreal. I said, actually Vancouver.
Yeah.
I saw some more hands. Yes.
Yeah, so in all the movies that you brought Jason to life, which kill has stuck with you the most? Whether it was the coolest one or the most complex one or just most sadistic one?
My favorites?
Yes.
Well, I think everybody knows my all-time favorite. Sleeping bag. Because it's not a weapon. Anybody can kill with a weapon, but
It's just brute force, Jason.
when you're
right
killing with something that's supposed to provide comfort, it's pretty ironic. And then number 2, Frozen Head, Jason X. Because when I smashed that head on the counter and pulled it away and the brain was sitting there, I was amazed. And it's a good thing you couldn't see my facial reaction. So I said, oh shit, did you see that? Bash, and it's sitting there at the brain. I was like, wow, somebody really put some time into that.
Yeah.
And then number 3 would be punching the guy's head off. Just a personal
That was a really nice cinematic shot too.
Yeah.
You know, all the things
And
great.
I'm sure you've heard me talk about this, but when the dummy is standing there and I go to punch it, and I knock the head off the building, it landed in a dumpster. So we were all amazed by the coincidence of that, which is why they ended up shooting it that way.
They're like, oh, great idea. Let's do that.
It wasn't scripted, but since it happened for real, might as well shoot it and then have the dumpster slam. It's just kind of a fun thing, but.
Yeah. What about our favorite Hatchet kill? I think I know the answer to this one, but
Yeah, you do. What is it?
Patrika Darbo kill?
Correct. One take deal.
Really? I didn't know that.
Catch the actress from behind, grab her, put my hands in her mouth, my nasty ass fucking dirty hands in her mouth, and then start the pull, and then cut, put the prosthetic head in, hit that same position again, and you know, in the movie you don't really see the edit
It's seamless.
because it's on the 360 move, and Adam was so worried that he said the camera has to come around all the way around, and when it lands over here, that's when you pull the head apart. And he says if you do it too soon, we're never going to see it, and it's a one-take deal because it was a very expensive rig.
I bet, yeah.
And you know, it worked out perfectly, and that's a great kill. When you see me pull the top of her head off,
Yeah.
and her tongue
Yeah.
is doing that, that's classic. And then Felissa Rose kill is,
Close second.
yeah, I think so.
That's pretty amazing too.
Yeah.
I remember when we covered, I think it was part 2, our guest was like, ooh, the Iceman gets iced, which was Sean Ashmore's character. That was his favorite.
That's right.
It was awesome.
And I did another movie with Ashmore,
Which one was that?
Frozen.
Another Adam Green, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the animated one.
Yeah.
Hey,
Not
where
let
you
it
going?
go.
Where are you going? Oh, you have to poop? Okay. That's all right, go ahead. No problem. I understand. Everybody poops. They should make a book called that. Oh, they did.
Didn't they?
Everyone poops. Oh boy, I'm such an asshole. But yeah, Frozen was kids stuck on a chairlift, and it was shot in Utah. And while we were shooting the film, I was asking some of the lift operators. I said, "This is a pretty ridiculous premise, isn't it? That somebody get forgotten on a chairlift?" And he said, "Well, no, not really. It's
Oh,
happened."
shit.
I was amazed. It has never happened to the length of time
Right.
that Frozen was, but people do get left on a chairlift, and of course they did make a phone call now and get back down, but it
So
has
we have
happened.
signal the mountain though,
Right.
right?
Yeah, that's true.
You never know, right? More questions? Yes, John.
I wanted to ask you how it felt to have, most people when they think of you, they think of you as Jason, or they really identify with you as that character. Yeah. But whenever Hatchet came out, I'm from Louisiana, and I was living in Florida, and I was really homesick. And whenever I saw Hatchet, really, even though I know some of that was filmed in New Orleans because I was seeing stuff and I was like, I know exactly where that is. And how does it feel to have those two characters, especially in Victor Crowley? Because so far, Victor Crowley is something that's yours that nobody else can.
Right.
Nobody else can.
That's a good point, right? You know, playing Jason, 6 other people had done it, 6 different versions of the character. I just tried to add my, you know, creative touch into it if I could, but like you're saying with Victor, that was me from the beginning, so it was kind of fun to develop the character like that. I did it in conjunction with Adam Green because he had obviously dreamed it up and had some ideas about the character. But the third film we shot entirely in Louisiana. First one was all LA and a couple of, establishing shots without me around.
Exteriors.
But second one was, this is what's amazing to some people, is the second film was, the entire film was shot indoors on a soundstage. I think the sets are amazing because you cannot tell
You cannot.
that that's not really outside.
Even the pond?
Everything.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they may have done a couple, establishing shots,
Right.
and just to help sell the idea. But anything I was in was inside.
And part 3 was actually in Louisiana, correct?
Mhm.
Yeah.
The whole thing was, which.
So
you
what
know,
was the difference between filming on a stage in California and then filming on location in Louisiana?
Well, you know, when you shoot a horror film, typically it's at night because it's more scary or whatever, and you're shooting outdoors at night. So once the sun starts to come up, you have to wrap because it doesn't match anymore. So when you're on a sound stage, you never get that luxury. They can shoot as long as they want, even though the temperature is controlled and everything, so that part of it is nice, but the shooting days were way longer because there was no need to stop shooting until you wanted to. Then we go to New Orleans. Now we're going to have the sun coming up and knowing that you're done, so that's one good thing, but the incredible humidity and fucking mosquitoes. Oh, it was, when you're dressed like me, with the makeup on, it just oppressive and very hard to get used to. So it makes, you know, the anger and the violence coming out pretty easily. Because you're so frustrated. But,
True or false? You got bitten so much by mosquitoes you got a little sick? Or no?
yes.
Yes.
I don't know if it was from that or just coincidental or what, but I had so many mosquito bites on my arms, mainly, because everything else is covered. And the makeup only comes down to here, and then it's my arms. No matter how much spray you put on, it's still, you know, you sweat, you getting hit with water and stuff, it washes all of it off. So, got a lot of mosquito bites.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about the acting process on playing Papa Crowley?
Yes, Mr. Crowley. So, when Adam first approached me with the idea of Hatchet and said he wanted me to play the killer, I was intrigued. I didn't think it would be as good as it was, honestly, because he hadn't done anything, so it's kind of like, another guy that thinks he's going to make it big. And sure enough, he did, but Thomas Crowley was not in the script when I first read it. And I said, okay, Adam, I got a deal for you. I'll play Victor, but I want you to write in a scene of another character, maybe like Victor's father, that I can show some emotion. Just like I was saying before, it's nice to be able to show another side of what you can do. So that's why you wrote that in there, and you know, it's kind of a fun thing to do just as myself.
Oh, that close-up of your face, tears. It was powerful, it was good.
Broke your heart,
It
didn't
did, actually. I got a little misty. It did. A little misty.
Little.
Just a little bit. Over there, yes.
I just wondered because part 7 for me is still probably one of the most iconic and you said it was one of your favorites. Was it cool as you think you looked as Jason in part 7? Do you like that look they went with? Because that still rings a bell.
I think it's my favorite too.
It's the coolest mask they went ever.
Right.
I like the spine.
Yeah. I mean, it will always be my favorite film, for sure, and my favorite look of Jason at the same time. And, you know, it's my best fire stunt is in that movie, and just I thought the look of Jason was pretty scary, with the, you know, the kind of the rotting corpse of a body, and, you know, when we first did the makeup test, which I just came across some pictures of that, getting the makeup applied and how John built it so that I put dentures in and I could open and close my mouth, but the teeth were opening and closing here through the rotted cheek. I thought it was just a brilliant design because you never saw that before. And that's why so many times when I'm really pissed off and like the mask is gone, he had me going crazy, moving my jaw so you can see those teeth moving over here.
It was most effective.
Yeah.
That is fine.
Yeah, and the lenses and, it got tiring with the makeup process, 3.5 hours every day before you start shooting. And, typically you shoot a 12-hour day, so
How long did it take to take it off?
about 45.
Yeah.
Still, even though
Yeah.
you're removing it so that, it's never used again.
Right.
So you don't have to be careful, but it's just, you got so much glue everywhere, it takes a while to get it off, so.
Yeah. Sure. I saw another one over there. Yes.
Would you be open to playing Jason another time?
Oh, yeah. I think, I try to be objective as a horror fan, which I am. And I would think, wow, if they did one more movie, it would be the 13th movie. And why not bring back the only guy that's played the character more than once and, just finish it off. But unfortunately, I don't know if it's ever going to happen because of the legal issues. But I would do it again, boy. That, best character I ever played, so.
Did you do the motion capture for the video game?
I did.
Yeah. What was that like?
Whole different process, of course, the video game, the Friday video game. I did the motion capture for Jason throughout the game, and it took off and on 2 years to get all the motion capture, because we do a session of a few days or 8 days or something, and then they have to render all the content and see if everything works and see what they need to do next time. And it's a long process, but I was very, honored, I guess, that they thought I should do it, because it's a video game. So you don't have to have the guy that played the character in a movie do the video game, because it's, well, I hope so, and I just felt like, wow, I'd love to do it, and I didn't know that you'd want me to. So based on the success of that one, Gun, which is the company that did it, we are currently doing another one, another video game with another horror franchise that you know very well, and I'm the killer again. And
Shocker.
they, unfortunately, at this point are not allowing us to say what it is, but it's a franchise you know very well. So I think it's, very cool that I didn't play this character in the films, but based on our history and, motion capture is a whole different deal. You don't have to look like anything. You wear a spandex suit with sensors on it. And so there's no makeup, there's no wardrobe. We do use weapons just for my, satisfaction in playing the character. But yeah, it's a different thing, and I can't wait for you to find out what the new one is.
Me too. All right, sir.
Do you consider yourself an actor or stuntman first, or which one do you enjoy better?
I'll always be a stuntman first, I think, just because 44 years of doing that, and only not even half that much time doing dialogue. So, that's what put me on the map, and that's what enabled me to be even in the position to play Jason. So, I will always consider myself a stuntman first, but fairly close behind an actor now. Just because, you know, I've been given so many opportunities to do stuff that I never anticipated doing. Because what better way to interest someone who's known in horror, for instance, and you'd like to interest them in your movie? Offer them something they haven't done before. That'll pique the interest of the actor. So it's a lot of fun, and I just still enjoy it.
Sir?
Of course. Talking about if I've ever been told by a director, okay, this is what you're going to do here in this movie, and if I don't think it fits the character, then I'll say, no, not doing that. Like, for me, I know it's ludicrous, but which movie was it? It might have been Jason Takes Manhattan, I'm not sure, but I was told, okay, this is where next shot is where Jason's gonna run, and I thought, no, Jason doesn't run, in my opinion.
Not since part 3.
Right, it worked in that, but it sounds really pompous to say, but I always thought that my Jason would never run. Yeah, I mean, I feel like after I did 2 or 3 of them, people had to at least consider my opinion, because something's working, and hopefully it's, you know, some of the choices I made. And there was another time, again, I can't remember which movie, but the director said, is there a way we could, you know, you could swing the machete left-handed? And I said, no, I don't see that happening either. It worked better for the shot, the way it was laid out, but I said, I can't do that. I mean, it just doesn't feel right. Always got to be right-handed with everything, and that's why there's so many photos and posters and stuff of Jason wielding a weapon left-handed, and I was like, man, that would never be me. I don't know why, but it just never felt like it was right. And then the classic one that I've always talked about was in part 7, where the producer, it wasn't Beekler telling me, the producer said, this is where Jason kicks the dog. Yeah, I know, it was scripted. I think I may still have the script that has that in there. And I said, no, come on, I'm no, you know, super animal lover or anything, but that's not something Jason would do. He would identify with an animal more than
He did kill a
injure
dog
one.
once, maybe, if I recall, but it wasn't kicking a dog. Just to kick a dog? Yes.
Yeah, so I
He
just
didn't just go and
think,
kick a dog, like,
I didn't think it fit with the character.
right?
It wasn't like I was offended overly or something. I said, no, I just don't see Jason doing that. And that was on my first go-round, so, you know.
I saw some in the back, I thought. Way in the back? Oh, right there.
It's not more so a question, but it's just appreciation. You're talking about you being like dialogue and acting, but with Friday the 13th Part 7, the thing I appreciated about that movie and you playing Jason was the nuance of Jason being an aware character. You can tell when he got angry. There's a certain part, for one, when he pulls, I think her name is Tina, the basement, and he's pissed off at her, just throws off the chain, and she jumps through it. And I don't think people appreciate the way you made Jason more of a character that was aware from 7 on up. And I just wanted to say I appreciate you for bringing character to the character.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I just, you know, you just made me think of something in that basement scene where the nails come flying and hit me, and one of them hits me in the forehead. And I didn't tell anyone at the time, they were all gonna stick in me, including forehead, and then I was gonna continue with the scene. But I thought it would look stupid, walking around with a nail in my forehead, so that's why I immediately grabbed it and pulled it out.
You're like, wrong franchise.
On camera, pulled it out, so now nobody can say, where is it? So, and also pulling that cord, the light cord or whatever off my neck, because I thought that would look stupid too. So I didn't want to have any lasting things that had to match.
It was purely aesthetic.
Right.
I love part 7 because our final girl chases you down. That's a lot of fun, right?
And lives.
Yes, survives.
You know, I mean.
Her and him,
Right.
right?
Yeah, exactly. And I guess they both just did a fan film.
Really?
Yeah, Friday fan film.
First blood.
Both of them. And someone else too. Somebody else from part 7 was in it too, I think.
Really? Okay. Part 7 had a very large cast. So, a lot of bodies in that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think, how many killed? 21?
A lot.
I think.
Yeah. Yes. Abraham.
What made you consider being a stuntman?
I just always loved the idea of it. That here, you know, I used to do crazy stuff to entertain my friends, and scare them, just for my own entertainment. So I killed 15 in part 7, 18 in part 8,
Oh, wow.
only 1 in Jason Goes to Hell, because
True.
I don't count when the evil is in other characters.
Right.
And then 21 in Jason X. So there's 55 that I've killed as Jason. And Victor, there's 62. So
Yeah.
yes, I have it on my phone.
Also, 4 movies, 4, so it's a very good comparison, right?
Yeah. But anyway, the old story that I'm sure you've heard, when I was in high school, I was out in the South Pacific, and we went to Hawaii to play basketball, the varsity team. And we went to a hotel in Waikiki, the Ala Moana Hotel. And we went up to the 35th floor of the hotel on an observation balcony. It was like 4 or 5 of us from the team. And I thought, what a great opportunity to scare my friends. So I went over to the railing and climbed on the outside of the railing, holding on. This is 35 floors down, and I'm holding on to the railing. And they start freaking out. And of course, that's when I go, what's the matter? And I grab on again before I fall. And just the reaction of watching them freak out and run back into the building, leaving me out on the fucking balcony, just not even caring if I fell or not. I just thought, you know, this is the kind of stuff I do for fun. Now there's a career where you can get paid very well for doing that same stuff. So that's why I started becoming interested in the idea and started, investigating.
I wanted to talk to you about also 2 documentaries. One, yours, To Hell and Back. Beautiful film, by the way. If no one's seen it, please check it out. And they're inspiring as well. What made you decide to do that and finally tell that story?
Well, I mean, it wasn't until Mike Aloisi convinced me to tell my story via the book, Unmasked, that I even thought that people would want to hear about it. Because, you know, the burn injury is something that I would never wish on anyone, because it's one of those injuries where not only are you suffering terribly for a long time in the hospital, but after you heal and recover completely, you get to live with the daily reminder of it via the scars. So every time you look in the mirror, you see the scars, and you never forget. So it's a devastating injury. And I thought, some people might find it interesting to hear that story. And then Mike was saying, you got so many cool career things and the Jason stuff. So I decided, okay, we'll do the book. So the book came out based on the success and response for the book. Derek decided he wanted a visual version of the book basically being the documentary. And in the documentary, we go to that same balcony. I don't know if you remember that, but in Hawaii. And boy, I was really had to force myself not to recreate that again. I wanted to so badly, but I thought, let me be smart for once and not do it, so I didn't. But yeah, and then the documentary is so much more visual, obviously, with live interviews of people and stuff like that. And now it's interesting because the success of the documentary has now prompted us to do an anniversary edition of the book. So it's been 10 years since the book came out. We have a new version of the book coming out at the end of the year with the original title, which is Kill. And I believe it's going to be a leather-bound book with the title Kill, and all the stuff I've done in the last 10 years, which is a lot of fun stuff. But not just that. If people remember the documentary or the story about the burn, the woman that was with me the day I got burned, there was only one person with me, has never talked about it. I've always wanted her to do it in the book and in the documentary. She's never told her side, so Mike finally got in touch with her, and she's going to talk about that day for her, from her point of view. And also the woman whose house I went to and stood in the shower waiting for the ambulance to come. He somehow contacted her. I didn't even remember where it was or who it was. And she's going to tell how it was for her. Because if you remember, I was like so worried about her little daughter seeing what I looked like. So she's telling her side. So there's going to be a lot of fun career stuff, and then those two stories, and a lot of other surprises. We're including a lot of fans' names and stories in the book as well. So.
Well, I'm going to have to get that one for sure. I have the original. Now I need to update. The other documentary, Hearts of Darkness, for the documentary for Jason Goes to Hell with Adam Marcus.
Yeah, I mean, Jason Goes to Hell obviously was fun to do just because I was playing the character a third time. Mm-hmm. But I always wondered how it was going to be received when Jason's evil goes into other characters. Mm-hmm. And I was always worried about that, and kind of thinking, that kind of limits my time as the character. But again, if you've heard this, I apologize, but I thought, from my idea, I talked to some of the other actors that were going to technically be Jason. And I thought it would be interesting as a viewer when you're watching someone else who has the evil of Jason within them, if they did something that's reminiscent to my performance. Like somebody does the breathing thing, or somebody just does a move like I've done in the past or something. And I thought it would be kind of cool that there would still be, you could still do your version of Jason, but just incorporate something that makes you remember, oh yeah, that is still Jason. And none of the actors wanted to do that. Not one of them. No, my Jason wouldn't do that. My Jason, huh? Okay, it wasn't that big a deal, but I just thought it would be interesting as a viewer, so.
Yeah, I agree. It's unfortunate. I also love that movie because of fantastic supporting cast. We had Rusty Schwimmer, Leslie Jordan, Richard Gant, on and on and on. Julie Michaels, right? Stuntman herself.
Right.
And I'm a big Witchboard fan, so you know, she still had her Witchboard weave on.
Oh, yeah, she did, that's right.
She's normally a blonde, but no, she had the dark hair. So when we were talking to Adam, I'm like, is that Witchboard weave? And he's like, yes, it is. No, the supporting cast of Jason Goes Hell was so fun. And
It was a good cast, yeah.
you get to play yourself for a second, too.
Right.
Get killed, which is always fun. Yeah?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I got to make fun of Jason.
Yes, you big pussy.
Call him a name and then end up dead, so. shows
That's what
you-
you get.
Yeah, payback.
We do have time for one or two more. Yes, ma'am? Yeah.
Michael Myers,
Yeah.
you know, Leatherface,
Yeah.
you know, Jason,
Yeah.
Derek Mears.
Yeah.
And so it's fun that I've gotten to kill off all the competition.
And you're the only one who has played Jason, Leatherface, and Freddy. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, that's going to be your legacy.
Yep. I still
For
wouldn't
now.
mind doing something as Michael, but, you know, who knows? Maybe in the
Hey,
future.
you know what? They're obviously still doing them. So it's not too late. Kane, thank you so very much.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.